Okay.
Good morning. I'm going to call the House Judiciary Committee to order. Madam Clerk, will you please call for attendance?
Chair Lightner.
Here.
Representatives Begol.
Here.
Wozniak.
Here.
Harris.
Here.
DeBoyer. Johnson. Here. Judy.
Here.
Carter.
Here.
Pope. Here. Breen.
Here.
She is here.
Oh.
And Scott. Present. Madam Chair, you have 9 members present. You do have a quorum.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Rep. Wozniak moves to adopt the minutes from September 24th. Hearing no objection, the minutes are adopted. Rep. Johnson moves to excuse absent members with no objection. Absent members are excused. Now we're going to go ahead and move on the agenda. We're going to refer to House Bill 4840, which is my bill on business courts. Not wishing to speak in support of the bill is Trevor Van Dyke from Scale. And House Bill 4840 supports the bill, does not wish to speak, Monica Martinez from the Michigan Judges Association. We're going to go at ease. All right, we're going to come back to order. I will move House Bill 4840 with recommendation. Madam Clerk, will you please call the vote?
To report House Bill 4840 with recommendation, Chair Lightner.
Yes.
Representatives Begol.
Yes.
Wozniak.
Yes.
Harris.
Yes.
go at ease again. We're back to order.
40 to report with recommendation, Representatives DeBoyer,
Yes.
Johnson,
Yes.
Schutte,
Yes.
Carter,
Yes.
Hope,
Yes.
Breen,
Aye.
Scott.
Yes.
Madam Chair, you have 11 yeas, 0 nays, and 0 pass. House Bill 4840 is reported with recommendation.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next up on the agenda, we originally had House Bill 4781, sponsored by Rep. DeBoyer, but I am pulling that bill from the agenda today. And we are going to move on to testimony with Rep. Mueller on House Bill 4843. You can start with 4843. That's your taser bill.
All right. Thank you, Chair Lightner and members of the committee. What this bill does is to aims to legalize electronic glove technology. Currently, as many police officers, and there's several on the committee, including myself, we used to have tasers. Tyrone probably didn't have those back then. But anyway, actually, when I first started, we didn't have them either. But, so it's the type of technology that can only be possessed by law enforcement officials. It can be possessed by private security guards as long as they're CPL certified. No civilians will be able to purchase these items. They would be, if it's a hospital setting, they'd have to be CPL certified for their security guards because, in some hospitals they have armed security guards. Some are MCOL certified, some are just private security. There's 41 states that use this technology. Over the past 7 years, there's been 100,000 uses in those states, and there's been no injuries reported or any lawsuits due to the use of this technology. There is a sub that we have, but these are just some technical changes. We worked with the sheriffs and the chief of police to get them on board. It's just another tool for law enforcement, to control scenes. Passive resistance. Someone's not moving, you can put them on in crowd control situations. If you have inmates at the jail setting, because I know Rep. Carter had worked in the jail previously, and you have Sheriff Bogle here. Sometimes you have inmates that don't want to cooperate and come out of their cells, and it would just be another use where could use. They wouldn't have to go hands-on, and it would also probably deter people because if they know they're going to get zapped, they might not act up. We do have some experts here that can answer any of the technical questions, but I can answer any questions as well right now.
Thank you, Rep. Mueller. On Zoom, we have Jeff Kirkpatrick from the Michigan Court Officers Association wishing to speak. Jeff, you have the floor. Thank you for coming in today.
Well, thank you, Chair Lightner and members of the Judiciary Committee. I'm here again, as I said, representing the Michigan Court Officer Deputy Sheriff Association. And I'm sorry I couldn't be there in person, but I'm in Las Vegas for training, and I guess I'd rather be here in one respect than that. Anyway, in 2002, I and House Representative Mickey Mortimer drafted language to amend the Public Act 328 of 1931 to allow for the use of electromuscular disruption devices, better known as tasers, in Michigan. At that time, the technology that was used by the taser was the most advanced, less lethal technology in the world. Just like cell phones and many other technology devices, the technology continues to evolve. Before you is House Bill 4843, which is simply a bill acknowledging today's technology, and it's the technology today is significantly more advanced than it was when I was here in 2002. To that end, it takes into consideration current technology, and we're just simply updating, proposing to the statute to allow for use of devices that use this updated technology. Um, as Rep Mueller pointed out, it's used in 41 states, and I think there's like over 700 agencies using it. You do have someone that is there that can talk about the technology and how it's evolved. But the taser itself has saved lives, numerous injuries to suspects, law enforcement officers. And this bill just simply extends the ability to reduce injuries by authorizing modern day technology. For the past several months, we've worked with key stakeholders in formulating the language that's before you in the sub. And these stakeholders included the Michigan Sheriff's Association, the Michigan Association of Chiefs of Police, the Michigan Municipal Risk Management Authority, which is the insurer for a considerable number of municipalities in Michigan. And most importantly, we worked really with Rep Mueller and his staff, and I appreciate all their hard work on this. So I just simply ask for your support in passing 4843. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. We do have Jeff Nicholas, CEO of Compliant Technologies, who wishes to speak and supports the bill. So if you'd like to join Rep Mueller up here, that would be great.
Thank you, Madam Chair and members of the committee. My name is Jeff Nicholas with Compliant Technologies, the founder and CEO, and I appreciate the opportunity to be here before you this morning. I can answer any questions that you might have about the technology or tell you a little bit about our background, whatever you see fit.
If you want to just explain what it is, do you have one with you? Or if you just want to show us, I mean, obviously, apparently because of liability issues, we can't, see a sample unless, Mueller gets tased.
We don't tase anybody. We don't use
Or
we don't use
shock
that term.
them or
We do
whatever.
Stimulate.
Stimulate, yes.
Well then, I'm in.
Okay, all right, very good. Just to give you a little background, Compliant Technologies is based out of the Lexington, Kentucky area. We are a disabled veteran-owned company. We've been active since 2018. Currently close to 700 agencies, 12 countries, with over 100,000 real-world users. If you add up training and demonstrations, we're at over 250,000 with no injuries or no lawsuits. My background is I'm a retired Army aviator. I spent 35 years flying helicopters. There's one mission that you may be familiar with. It's in Somalia called Operation Gothic Serpent, which it was the premise behind the movie Black Hawk Down. I was one of the pilots on that mission. Sergeant Eversman was on my aircraft, the same bird in the movie. If you saw Private Blackburn fall out, that was my aircraft. I didn't know till 3 days later that the guy fell out. I bring that up for one reason. We lost 18 guys from our nation in one day. And personally for me, as a company, if we're able to save 18 lives on this side of the shore, which for me I find it more dangerous for law enforcement, corrections, and hospital security doing their job today than boots on the ground overseas right now. And I've been overseas in a lot of different locations to include Iraq, Afghanistan, Somalia, Central and South America, and various operations. My whole job and my whole premise behind this company is to help our society, to help save lives, and to help change the community. I believe that there should be a win-win. Why can we not have safer streets, safer communities, safer schools and hospitals, also more orderly jails and prisons, but also protect our officers, our agency's public image, and a lot of taxpayer dollars. And to protect the officer, it's more than just going home at night. It's about their future, their family, and their finances. There are families who pay a big price wondering if their husband or wife are going to come home or whoever it may be. Agencies are letting us know that all the costs associated with use of force, on average, we're saving between 76 and 90% of those costs associated with medical expense, workers' compensation, and litigation. I believe, as a matter of fact, MMRMA is willing to do grant programs with the agencies because of what they noticed would be a huge savings in workers' comp and medical expense and lawsuits. We already had Safety National, a insurance company out of North Carolina, pay for training, for gloves, gloves and training for 26 counties in Pennsylvania. And we've been trying to work more with insurance companies because at the end of the day, those municipal organizations are also utilizing taxpayer dollars. And if we can help save money in that realm, then that's just a win-win as far as we're concerned. As far as the technology goes, we realized after a year or two with the fact that we had no injuries or lawsuits, again, in over a 7-year period, that we did not have a conducted electrical weapon in our hand. We didn't even have a weapon. We changed the whole terminology of what we do to CD3 technology, and that stands for Conductive Distraction and De-escalation Device. Our device leaves no burns, marks, or scars. No current enters the body when a stimulation is applied, which is why we don't use other terms. We do not compete with Axon tasers. As a matter of fact, in some way, we consider it a supplement. We have nothing against that tool. It's a distant CEW. It's an intermediate tool. Most agencies write us into soft, empty hand control. And a lot of places and a lot of agencies around the country do not even consider the use of our glove as a use of force. It's less intrusive to the body than most joint manipulations and other soft, empty hand controls. I've got a separated collarbone and a separated long head of my bicep because of soft, empty hand control tactics and techniques. And sometimes I felt those training events 3 days later. With our glove, it's a couple seconds after the fact with a little tingling, and that's about it. So we believe that this technology will help in many facets. We're in adult corrections. We're in at the state level in 14 states. We're in the United States Army with the Military Police and Corrections Command. That was a 3-year vetting process. We just got picked up by Harvard Medical. We were in their first hospital, Beth Israel Plymouth. We're in Vanderbilt, University of Maryland, University of North Carolina hospital systems, and we just outfitted every campus of Eastern Carolina University with our products. We've also just outfitted every school resource officer in the Omaha, Nebraska School District because our products have been tested for 35 pounds and up. We have 4 PhDs on our team. One is a professor of cardiology at Harvard. One is Dr. Doran Pinescu, who did Axon Tasers X2 research. We have 2 peer-reviewed papers from the IEEE. All of our products are patented, trademarked, and we put our money where our mouth is. With smaller agencies, we indemnify them up to $1 million if we have an unappealable product liability judgment. Our mission statement is simply this: we exist to benefit society by providing non-lethal alternatives to those who selflessly serve. Despite the law, which we agree with what you're going to do, not available to the public, we never sell it to the public to begin with. I would never want an officer to come up with somebody with our technology because they will win. They'll take their gun, their car, and their life. And so we're very guarded, even though it's a very safe and humane technology. We're very guarded with who we give it to. We won't even sell it to sworn officers. They're sold by serial number to agencies, and that's it. We achieve what's called neuroperipheral interference, the technical term, for stimulating the surface of the skin because no current enters the body. All we're going to do is stimulate the cells or the nerves on at the most or outer region, the epidermis, that will send signals through the peripheral nervous system, through the central nervous system, the brain, and most people will either take a knee, go down. The great thing about it is I'm already maintaining physical control, so that's already helping me mitigate risk. People are not locked up, so they can still listen to and obey command when we're applying the tool. So that's kind of it in a very brief nutshell, and I'm open for any questions.
Okay. Well, first of all, thank you. Thank you for your service. When you said that about Black Hawk Down, that like made it real because I was like, I remember watching that movie more than once with my husband. So, thank you for your service to our country and for us. And with that, we do have some questions. Rep. Goal.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm just curious, how do you activate the gloves, and is there an on-off switch or anything like that if somebody is to become compliant?
Thank you. This is just one example of our technology. Our glove is our flagship product. The glove is an acronym. It stands for Generated Low Output Voltage Emitter. When an officer places the glove on in interview position, you can activate it really at any time. Takes 1 second to activate. You see a blue light. That lets me know that the tool is on. I can do a couple little demos with you without any stimulation to show you what it does not do. If you don't care, it will not go through clothing, hair, metal, fur. It only activates on human skin. And when we do put skin somewhere in between the positive and negative contacts on the pads, these great contacts on the glove, There's nothing that protrudes into this. There's no probes or nothing that enters the skin. It strictly stimulates that epidermis area like I was telling you about. And we can utilize a lot lower current loads because of the fact that we have a large surface area with the contacts close together. So we can get away with about 80% less current than a typical device during that 5-second ride. Other devices will have a much larger amperage and voltage. They derate down to about 1200 volts, 2.5 amps. Our glove is about 300 volts and less than half an amp. You cannot ignite gasoline-soaked rags with it. You cannot ignite somebody who happened to be coated with hand sanitizer all over their body like what happened in the past with other individuals. So once it's on, and I get somebody to comply, I can actually change my grip because there are no contacts in the finger. So I can still cuff and escort an individual and do many things with them, and when they act up is when I transition this glove down to skin. Even in a climate like Michigan, where it's cold in the winter, in our training, our advanced training, we teach individuals how to get past clothing really quick to where we can get to skin and we can stimulate an individual. We have a 95% first grab success rate, and we normally stop the encounter in less than 3 seconds. We change behavior. In the hospital setting, especially with behavioral health, people high on drugs, it's been pointed out, and Missouri Department of Corrections has let us know, also Wyandotte County, Kansas. They've had people high on narcotics and other things. After a couple-second grab with the glove, the person came off their high, became lucid, and were able to listen to and obey commands. So after I get done, if I get somebody on the ground, I want to start cuffing them, I can double tap that glove. It's now flashing. It's now in a standby mode. Nothing's happened. Quick double tap of the glove is back in regular mode. By the way, when I grab that individual, I've now recorded that event, and I can download that data on our data management portal. It has an audit trail, so if they had access into the software that level, anybody ever deleted the information, we could go back and find out who deleted it and when. So it makes for a good level of transparency across the board. And then we also have a testing device that when an officer lays his hand on that, it'll give an indication, and they can log that weekly, monthly, daily, however they want to do it. We certify those devices every year. And so if an officer ever goes to court and an attorney wants to ask, well, how do I know that this thing is putting out the proper current loads, we certify those devices that they're tested at. So we try to do everything we can to mitigate the risk and provide transparency for the agencies that decide to adopt our technology.
Thank you. Rep Harris.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for being here. I'm a former TASER instructor. Matter of fact, Mr. Kirkpatrick that was with us was the first person to ever TASER me. Yeah, hopefully the last. So yes, it's I am, after speaking with Rep Mueller, I am very curious to learn more about the actual product. But I mean, I know we're not here specifically for the product. We're here to give our law enforcement all the tools that they potentially could choose to use, right? So all for that. You've actually answered most of my questions, but I appreciate you being here. I'm glad that this kind of follows what we already have in law as procedural things. We want to be able to download and have an audit trail, of the use of these things, and we saw that with TASER as well. I think it's been very useful not only to help officers in court testimony, but also to clear them of allegations of abuse and whatnot. So again, thank you for being here. Very curious to learn more.
Thank you, sir.
Rep Scott.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your testimony. So I have a son who's a Wayne County Sheriff's deputy, so maybe that could be helpful in that arena. But I was wondering, Rep Mueller, would you be interested in doing a demonstration?
Yeah, I'll do it.
Okay.
Great.
So what we could do simply is I could just ask you to get out of a chair, because what we find in a lot of transit situations is people, when the train or the bus, we're getting ready to outfit most or all of the officers in New Jersey Transit. Every state's different, so I welcome the opportunity to be here before you today. In New Jersey is a different case in the fact that the Attorney General is the only one that provides the use of force policy for the entire state. And the only person that you can test with before you get to the Attorney General is the New Jersey State Police. So they just finished their testing. While the testing, they determined we're not going to just test this for the New Jersey Transit. We like this product a lot because vehicle extractions, which is a very dangerous situation for law enforcement, if the driver is unbelted, that's about a 2-second iteration for us. And for people who are in prone resistance, who won't give their arms up, not knowing what's underneath their body, that's another big question mark. And normally when you see on TV the ugliness of a big pylon to try to get someone to get their arms out, that's another 2-second iteration for us as soon as we find skin, which is usually not too hard to do. So if you don't mind, sir, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to ask you to stand up, and I would like you to resist, but I'm going to ask you to just turn sideways 90 degrees so everybody can see. And I'm going to, okay,
Let's vote for the bill, Tyrone.
yeah. When we do, and I am going to ask you to do me a favor. I do not want to grab you by the hand. You don't have to remove anything, but I'm just going to ask you to take your jacket off and roll your sleeve up. It's only because I'm a really nice guy. Because if I were to grab his hand, what he would feel would be 4 times worse than what I'm going to do. The reason why when you grab a bony joint, because the stimulation is happening on the epidermis, the closer we are to nerve bundles, the more intense it feels. With the fact that we grab a hand or a knee or a foot or an elbow, because those nerve bundles are pushed by bone up to closer to the surface of the skin, it just becomes much more intense. Additionally, we can take this glove out in the rain. We've chased people down in the middle of pouring down rain. You can get the gloves wet. You can't get them soaking wet. If you get any feedback, you just turn it off. In our training, we talk about decontamination troubleshooting, and I'll just tell you a little bit about the life. We only use a 3.7 volt lithium-ion battery. It's good for 2,000 charges. The charge lasts for months. For continuity purposes, we say charge them monthly. Each microprocessor, once fully charged, is good for 90 minutes of stimulation. In our testing with the Army, we were able to stimulate 200 soldiers lined up, and at the end of that trial, our battery was still 100% charged when we were done. So
I'm gonna. No, I emptied it beforehand.
okay, when we do a demonstration, they deploy as a pair, and I'll stand over here. They deploy as a pair, so what that basically does is give me about 210-degree protection of what I have on my belt and the tools that I have in my hand, and I've eliminated weapons confusion. If you remember what happened up in Brooklyn, Minnesota, the training officer thought she had her one tool when she had another. That's called slips and capture, and my mind probably would have gone to the same place because he was known armed and dangerous, and he had a 45 under the seat, the whole 9 yards. So what I'm going to do with Representative Mueller is he's somebody on a bus. We can't get him out. He doesn't want to leave. It's going back to the station. The New Jersey Transit just sent 5 guys to the hospital because of interaction with one individual. And so if I'm the officer, I can grab him by the hand just to show you. I'm going to grab him by the hand just so you know that I don't feel anything. So I can actually start working with him. Again, it will not go through clothing, hair, metal, fur. I can actually do what's called the tap test. I'm touching myself with this tool right now, and I can tell you that it's ready to go. So, sir, we need to go back to the station. I need you to exit the bus if you don't mind.
Nope.
Come with me, please?
Nope.
All right, sir, if you don't mind, we just...
Yeah, that's a good one.
So stand by a second, stand by. Okay. I'd like you to show everybody your injury. Can't see it through the hair. There is no injury. There is no burns, marks, or scars.
Should have shaved right here.
That made my entire political career.
No, that's a good zap. I mean, but it's not like a taser because that happened too.
It stays localized, and why I
Stick your
was
finger
able
in a
to,
socket,
yeah, I was able to grab him on his hand because no current ever entered the body.
and it only hit right where he grabbed right here.
Yeah.
And it just, you didn't feel it anywhere else.
Right.
It was right there, and it hurt, but
Yeah, right. And that's how we're.
sticking a mandibular angle in there.
Okay. Well, you can do that with a glove and a mandibular
boy.
angle at the same time. And that would be called a level 3 application for us.
Okay.
The beautiful aspect of the technology is the fact because no current enters the body, because I grabbed them, 5 other officers could have helped me de-escalate this situation. Nobody would have felt a thing.
So you don't have to talk anymore. We're good. You shocked him.
From a medical standpoint, we have trained people with 8 full rides in our technology that had defibrillators and pacemakers. We cannot affect the defibrillator or pacemaker as well. So that just gives you an idea of the safety and efficacy, and I believe that We are one of the most common sense de-escalatory tools to ever be introduced to public safety. And we would be honored to continue that relationship. There's a lot of agencies in the state of Michigan that were utilizing our tool until we found out there was a situation where we had to make sure that everything was kosher. So they're all standing by, waiting to use this technology with the passage of this bill.
I haven't moved that fast in a long time.
We have a couple more questions here. Rep. Carter.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you for being here and having that demonstration, because as Mike said, having worked for the Sheriff's Department and having to go in, I mean, you need as many tools as possible to keep people from getting injured, and that pile-on is a thing of the past. We've sent many officers to the hospital for unintended consequences. The question I have is, and we've not talked about this, maybe we can talk about it offline, cost, opportunities for departments to weigh in and benefit from this. And we can talk about this later, but after seeing the demonstration, it's long overdue. I'll say that, so thank you. And my question was going to be to, touchy.
Stimulate the
Touchy.
representative here.
No, you can answer the cost question. I mean, obviously, you don't sell to individuals, so we would need to know anyways for our agencies, our departments, municipalities.
Yeah, right now, our MSRP is about $1,795 a pair. The last couple of years, because of budgets and finances, we've reduced our price down to $1,595 a pair, just because we're trying to be value added. That may sound like a lot, but if you know the prices of the other tools that you're paying for, that's very inexpensive. The other benefit is you can charge this device. It comes with the chargers. There's no accoutrements that you have to purchase. Like I said, it uses just a little bit of current. Once it's fully depleted, it takes about 45 minutes to charge up. So there are no things that you have to buy. There's no expendables. And again, the charge lasts for months. It gets down to about 50%. Just so you know, when you turn the device on, this is where you'll charge it and that you'll download the information. It's from the same port. Because I'm an Army guy, I'm a KISS principal guy as well. So I look at 4 little dots on the back of my microprocessor. That every dot represents 25% charge. When it gets down to about 2 dots, I know to plug it back in and charge it up. Because it's a lithium-ion battery, I can take the charge down almost to nothing and still able to stimulate an individual. So if you look at, we have training. We have 3 different levels of training. There's some costs associated with that. We also have an escort device called our E-band technology. The same software to download that. We also patented that because it's the only product in the world that will give an audible signal, record the event, and also leave no burns, marks, or scars. We've had a lot of good success with that in courtrooms and dealing with people in the behavioral health standpoint. With the fact that, and I will be honest with you, I don't let my dealers negotiate on price because of what we're adding back into the. We truly are a technology that has an ROI. You may not want to buy your latest baton to say, here's how much money I can save you with that, but we're actually seeing 76 to 90% reduction in all of the costs associated with use of force. We just brought on a gentleman by the name of Dr. Darrell Ross. He's a professor emeritus out of Valdosta State, was head of their criminal justice. He's tried about 1,300 federal cases, and one of his research cases was average worker comp costs of about $40,000 across the board. So with that being said, our tools, if we're able to stop the average police department in the United States is 10 officers, we can equip that department for far less than the average workers' comp cost. When you save 1 injury, you've just paid for the tools. When you've saved 2, you've just made money.
Okay, Rep. Wozniak.
Thank you. Very interesting device. Now that we've proven it works on mules, does it work on other animals?
It does not go through fur, sir. So you can work with your canine dog, and it's not going to affect your canine.
Okay.
But it will not go, if you have like a dog attacking you, the only way it would work if you stuck it in its mouth.
Second question is, are medical personnel authorized to use this if they have a rowdy patient?
It's funny you should say that. We believe the technology should be in the back of ambulances, and here's why I say that. I flew EMS for 15 years, and I've been in the back of a lot of ambulances, and I know what happens with people with head injuries and coming out of Narcan. We're 3 for 3 for combating individuals that have been injected with Narcan because they become very aggressive after the fact. One instance, we had an officer with our gloves on outside of Philadelphia. He heard screaming from the back of the ambulance. He opened the door. The paramedic had just administered Narcan, and the individual had the paramedic by the shoulders chewing on his neck.
Oh.
Our officer reached up, grabbed the gentleman by the foot, and he immediately let go of the officer. So there's some place I believe that we should be in the back of every ambulance at some point, but that's, we have nursing staff that actually have asked to use the glove. I don't recommend that. That's what the security guys and the police forces. So we have outfitted the security departments and the police departments that are associated with healthcare. Again, we're in 9 of those. We're about almost 100% success rate, especially dealing with people who come in high on narcotics and our behavioral health. The unintended, and I didn't know either until we went down this road, but the people who are behavioral health, we have some frequent flyers, as you know, that come into different healthcare settings. Even though they may be out of their gourd, if they've been stimulated by the glove before and they see the officer walk in, they immediately recognize and go, okay, I don't want any more of that. What do you want me to do? So that's been a very good plus because of the fact that if we can get visual compliance, that's great. And even there's a lot of individuals that even though you may not have to deploy other individual tools, they still want those tools to be used on them because they know that that's a lawsuit. And so we are not going to have any lawsuits, and that's going to save you a lot of money.
Last question. What about off-duty officer, sworn officer? Do they take these home, or can they use them when they're off-duty?
That's the department's call. It depends, I guess, where they want to use them off duty. We don't go into bars, and we're not the security at a department store and things like that. We're very careful about who we vet out as far as security. There have been some executive protection people that we've dealt with on a trial basis. Some bail bonds them because a lot of those are former officers and they can only be used in the performance of their duty. We're in a trial phase on that right now, and I mean a very rudimentary trial. We do not encourage the use of our technology in your basic security type operations other than healthcare right now and some vetted out executive protection details.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Rep. Johnson.
Thank you. You answered the question about the high on narcotics. Severe scarring, tattoos, goes through that just fine also?
The only caveat we have is, for example, in our training, we'll say that no tool is 100%. If you're only using one glove at the time and you don't get compliance, change your grip or add another glove. But if you don't get a desired reaction within 3 to 5 seconds, the glove can be used to help create distance and go to another tool, call for help. When we do our training, I tell people if you normally wouldn't fight Sasquatch, you're not going to fight Sasquatch just because you have the glove on. You're going to wait for help to show up, use your protocols, and do a team tactics. The glove is not designed to replace good combative skills and training. It's designed to supplement. This is not an end-all, be-all, get rid of all your tools, you're Iron Man with this thing, because people make comments because they have the glove on. And we just make sure in training we emphasize situational awareness, reaction, because everybody is different. If one of the things that could stimulate, if some people are really hairy arms or hairy chest, just pick your target of opportunity to make sure you get a good grab on skin. And we had a guy that had a lot of scarring and a lot of injury and nerve damage from a motorcycle wreck. The glove did work through that, but that may not be true for every case. That's why it's so important to be situationally aware. Every officer, and this is where training and leadership come on, because we're always harping on understand your tactics, techniques, and procedures, understand and train your defensive tactics skills, understand your policy, what you can and can't do in your jurisdiction, and the tool will be a great aid to you in de-escalating a situation very quickly. In some cases, it can also help. I may not have to use certain sprays or other tools, and if I can do that, I don't have to decontaminate. I can stop the situation pretty quickly. But at the end of the day, that's a judgment call on the officer's part, and just kind of taking your time with the situation to use the tool, the right tool at the right time.
Okay, thank you. We're going to have 2 more quick questions, and if we can keep them concise and quick, we'll go ahead and finish the last 2. We're going to end with Breen and then Rep. Harris.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you for that excellent demonstration. And I apologize if I missed this, but what effect, if any, would this have on somebody who's wearing excessive amount of jewelry or metal, titanium in the knee?
No effect
They're wearing a
whatsoever.
suit of armor.
Right, no effect whatsoever.
None at all. Like, has it been tested on all sorts of different kinds of metals?
We've tested in various metals and situations. People ask, do I need to take my watch off? Does it affect my smart watch? There's no current enters the body. It's strictly stimulating that skin. So
Okay.
it cannot affect the metal whatsoever. That's why I also brought up defibrillators and pacemakers cannot affect those either.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. So, two quick questions, technically. They're together, though. Does this work basically on pain compliance principles?
I would say pain compliance. Most agencies put us in the end of the soft, empty hand control, and in some agencies, we're not even a use of force.
Gotcha. And then, let's say, I mean, we know that when it comes to physical controls, you know, things are chaotic, things don't always go as planned. How would this, if you're in the middle of a tussle with somebody, and I know it transmits through the epidermis, but what if, like the face or some other sensitive areas of the body, how does that affect anything?
There's no parts of the body that are off limits. We do everything in stages. Level 1 application is the fact that it's a glove, going to protect you like a glove. It can be on and operational, but not used. I make the decision to use force. Our level 2 application is 2 gloves anywhere on the body for 15 seconds, which is an eternity. We normally get the job done in a couple seconds, but we say avoid the groin up to the front of the body. Now, if it's a level 3 application, you're fighting for your life, the life of a partner, an innocent civilian. You can use the glove how long, wherever you want to grab, wherever you can grab to include the face. There is no physiological damage to the body whatsoever.
Great. Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and read in cards. So on House Bill 4843, does not wish to speak, supports the bill in concept, is Ron Wiles, Executive Director, Michigan Association of Chiefs of Police. Supports the bill in concept, does not wish to speak, Matt Saxton from Michigan Sheriff's Association. Does not wish to speak and supports the bill, Kyle Kaminsky from the Michigan Department of Corrections. And last card on 4843, does not wish to speak and opposes the bill, Gabriel Dresner of the ACLU of Michigan. Thank you on those bills. Mueller, you might as well stay up here. We're going to move on to House Bill 5079 and 5080 in regards to disarming a police officer. And then the second bill is the bill for sentencing guidelines as well. So, Mike, you have the floor again.
All right, thank you. And this, I'll keep this short as well, kind of, I think. But these tools that we just saw in my instance would have prevented all of this from happening in the first place. So it's actually a good segue going from that demonstration to what I'm about to tell you. Currently, if you try to disarm a police officer, it's a 5-year felony. That's a uniformed police officer, like the sergeant who's dressed on duty. Attempt to disarm is a 5-year, and if you happen to get the gun away from the officer and they're on duty, it's a 10-year felony. But I could walk up and push Representative Lightner down and steal her cell phone and be charged with a 15-year unarmed robbery charge. So basically what this law, what I'm trying to do is, make the crime, the punishment fit the crime. So what I did in this bill is the attempt to a 10-year, and if you do a 20-year. A couple of years ago, then Representative LeGrand and I did this package together. I did come to a compromise, and we made it similar to unarmed robbery, which was a 15-year felony if you did, and a 7.5-year for the attempt. And I'm willing to negotiate that because, this happened to me twice. In one instance, I actually had to shoot somebody. The second instance, my gun jammed, or I would have shot the guy. And it happened to my partner, and I almost lost my finger one night because we got drugged by a car into a trailer. The car started on fire, and my finger almost got severed off. If we would have had the gloves, that wouldn't have happened, actually. So, it's kind of a twofer here, right? So basically, that's basically it. I just want to hold people accountable. Our police have been under attack for a few years now, and it just makes sense. You can push down a security guard at, the 7-Eleven and take a hot dog from the roller and get charged with a 15-year felony, but you push down a uniformed police officer and it's a 10-year felony when you take his gun. It's just the punishment doesn't fit the crime. And what are they going to do when they get the gun? what do you think they're going to do with it? They're not just going to take off with it, and they're going to shoot you. I mean, that's exactly what they're going to do. So I just think it's common sense. Like I said, it did pass a couple years ago by 100 votes in the House, and then it just ended up dying in the Senate. But I'm open for any questions.
Rep Harris.
Thank you, Rep Mueller, for not only taking that hit on the last one, but for bringing both bills forward. We've seen, I think everyone in this committee has seen attacks on law enforcement, and it's the most egregious. If people are willing to do that to uniformed officers, what else are they willing to do to the rest of the citizens, right? So I agree. I think we need to hold people accountable for these heinous acts that are putting our people in harm's way. So thank you.
Rep Breen.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Rep Mueller, do you know about how often this happens per year, like where a weapon is actually wrested away?
I mean, I'm sure we can find a statistic for that. I couldn't tell you. I mean, I know it happened to me twice in my career, and it happened to my partner when I was working with him once. So I mean, I'm just one officer of the thousands of officers in the state. There's penalties for trying to take a taser from somebody. There's penalties for taking any type of weapon from a police officer. But I mean, I'm sure we could look up. We can get with you to tell you how many instances that this happens.
Okay, and just to be clear, then that's somebody. This is for a person who knows the person is law enforcement, still tries to take it away. The law enforcement officer is authorized to carry, and there's still, if somebody is still off their rocker or having some type of an issue, there's still enough leeway for that to be taken into consideration.
Right. Like in my situation, the guy was he was an Iraqi vet, had some issues we found out. He was on Xanax apparently, even though they didn't test, extremely intoxicated. And he grabbed me by the throat and he tried disarming me, and we struggled for approximately 2 minutes, and then I ended up shooting him. But he did survive, which I was thankful for that. Later, it was a pretty somber experience going through that, and he actually wrote me an apology letter, and he actually went on to do pretty good things. I've heard. Went to Wayne State and got a social work degree. Sorry, I kind of went off on sideways on that. But no, you have to be a sworn officer in uniform in the performance of your duties. You have to, again, all the rules apply. Stop resisting, don't do, blah blah blah. Give the warnings, and if they do it, and so. I mean, it's just, to me, when someone grabs onto your weapon, I mean, all kinds of things go through your head. It's like, there's only one reason to take a gun from an officer, and that is to execute the officer. And that actually did happen to a gentleman named Mason Samborski in Oak Park. I don't know if you remember that. That was back in, I believe, December of 2008. He was dealing with a juvenile suspect, and they went to not his parents' house, but it ended up being his sister's house. And the juvenile wrestled with Officer Samborski of the Oak Park Police Department. They rolled down the stairs. He was able to take the gun from him out of his holster and executed him. So, and that person was a juvenile. So if our juveniles are doing this, and like I said, it happened to me a couple times. It's a problem, and we need it. We're here. Everybody wants to take pictures with the cops and do this with the cops, but we actually have to do things that show that we have the cops back if we're going to be in this position that we are.
Thank you, Rep Carter.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, Rep Mueller. Real quick, the other one went through 100, but there was a difference in consecutive and concurrent sentencing. Would that be correct?
I'd have to look back on that. Yeah, I mean, I think when Representative LeGrand he fiddled with the guidelines a little bit, and we can pull that back up. And,
Okay.
and again, I'm not an attorney, and again, I'm open for suggestions. This was just a reintroduction, and I'm willing to, like I said, I can work with you with that, Rep Tyrone, and we can figure out the guidelines and things like that, and work through this.
We'll figure it out. Thanks.
Okay. I don't think we have any other questions right now. So I'll go ahead and read in the card we have. Well, we have two. On House Bill 5079 and 80, Does not wish to speak and supports bill. Max Saxon of the Michigan Sheriff's Association. The Department of Attorney General would like to submit a card in support of House Bill 5079 and 5080 or 5080, and does not wish to speak. All right. All right. Well, seeing no further business before the committee, we are adjourned.